Hello students, so let's move on to chapter 4 under the subject income tax 2, that is deductions under section 80C to 80U, which is important for the 6 marks question as well as for 14 marks in the chapter 5, because when we are calculating the total income, so we need to claim the deductions under section 80C to 80U. So the deductions under section 80C to 80U of the Income Tax Act 1961 applicable to the assessment year 1920. So let us see the deductions. So before going to the deductions, we are supposed to understand a certain rules for calculating the deductions under section 80C to 80U. So let's see the basic rule, that is first one, the aggregate amount of deductions under section 80C to 80U cannot exceed gross total income. So the gross total income is nothing but the total of the 5 years of income. That is income from salary, income from house property, income from business or profession, income from capital gain, and income from other sources. So all the 5 years of income will be called as gross total income. And whenever we are claiming the deductions under section 80C to 80U should not exceed the gross total income. So that is the basic rule we need to follow. Second rule is that no deductions can be claimed from long-term capital gains and short-term capital gain, which is liable for securities transaction tax under section 111A and casual income, because already the long-term capital gains or the short-term capital gains, which is liable for security transaction tax, they have already paid the tax to the government. So such securities is not eligible for the deductions, and even the casual income, because such incomes are not in a repeated nature and already we have paid the tax to the government when we are receiving the amount. So deductions will not be applicable for the casual incomes as well as the long-term capital gain and short-term capital gain, only if they are liable for the security transaction tax. That is nothing but securities or the shares which has been listed in the stock exchange. And when the shares which has been listed in the stock exchange, if we are selling that, and on that income we are supposed to pay the tax to the government. So the deductions will not be applicable for long-term capital gain and short-term capital gain, which is liable for security transaction tax under section 111A and casual income. And third important basic rule is that we are going to calculate the deductions under section 80G to 80GG, that is section 80G and 80GG. These deductions will be claimed only after claiming all other deductions under section 80. Means whenever we are calculating the deductions under section 80C to 80U, first we need to claim the deductions under section 80, leaving the deductions section called as 80G and 80GG. Means we need to claim all the deductions under section 80 except 80GG, because after claiming all the deductions under section 80, then only we are eligible to claim the deductions under section 80G and 80GG. So 80G and 80GG deals with the donations which has been given by the assessee to a institutions or any other persons. So first we need to claim the deductions under section 80 except 80GG, and after claiming all the deductions, and after that we need to claim the deductions under section 80G and 80GG. And fourth basic rule is that while computing the total income of the assessee, no deduction shall be allowed under section 80IA, 80IAB, 80IB, 80IC, 80ID, or 80IE unless the assessee files a return of his income on or before the due date as per the section 139 of 1. But as per your syllabus, there are no sections like 80IA, 80IAB, 80IB, 80IC, 80ID, and 80IE. These sections will be applicable only if the assessee has filed his return or the income statement to the income tax department on or before the due date. And if he is submitting the returns after the due date, these sections will not be applicable to claim the deductions. Okay, so these are the basic rules which has to be followed when we are calculating the deductions under section 80C to 80U. So let's move on to the first deduction under section 80C that is section 80C, which deals with the deduction in respect of investment in specified asset. So there is a chance of asking for 2 marks question as well as for the 6 marks question. Explain the list of securities or the asset which are given under the deductions under section 80C. So there is a chance of asking for 2 marks question. So be careful. Means we need to mention any asset to any two asset which is eligible to claim the deduction under section 80C. Okay. So 80C is mainly dealing with the any investment which has been made by the individual, that is assessee, in any specified assets or the any specified securities or the investment. So if any investment has been made by the assessee, he is eligible to claim the deductions under section 80C. So let's see what are the conditions which is which has to be satisfied to claim the deductions under section 80C. So first one, 80C provides for a deductions of savings in specified modes of investment from gross total income. Means the income which has been earned by the assessee either in the form of salary or in the form of house property or in the form of business or profession, capital gains or the other sources. That income has to be deposited or they need to make the investment on a specified asset. Then only the eligible or is eligible to claim the deduction under section 80C. So they have clearly mentioned that the investment or the amount has to be made only from the gross total income. Second, it is available only to an individual, not for the undivided family or partnership form or any other associate, only for the individual person. And the deduction amount that is important, gross qualifying amount or rupees 1,50,000, whichever is less. So your gross qualifying amount is nothing but under section 80C, we have around 22 to 23 securities for the asset, and after taking all the amount or after totaling all the amount, that total will be called as gross qualifying amount. Means by we need to add the amount which has been invested by the assessee on an asset that is in the list of 23. We need to total all the amount and that amount will be called as gross qualifying amount, and it has to be compared with the 1,50,000. Means the maximum amount we can claim as a deduction under section 80C is rupees 1,50,000. So after comparing that, we need to take the deduction amount that is whichever is less. So I declare the gross qualifying amount that is total of all the list of assets are maximum of rupees 1,50,000, whichever is less will be claimed as deduction under section 80C. Now let us see what are the assets or what are the savings or the investment which are eligible for the deductions. So first one, life insurance premium, that is any premium amount which has been paid by the assessee on his life insurance. So life insurance premium is nothing but the premium paid on the insurance of life on life of the individual. So not only the individual but also for the dependents of the individual. So dependents may be that is on his own life or the spouse, either it may be husband or wife, or the children life, whether dependent or independent, or major or minor, married or unmarried, including payment made by the government employee to central government employees insurance scheme, and the payment made by a person under children's deferred endowment assurance policy. So these are the assets where the assessee has been paid or invested on a premium on the life insurance, not only for his own life but also for his spouse life or the children, whether they are dependent or independent, whether they are major or minor, whether they are married or unmarried, and even it includes the payment made by the government employee to the central government employees insurance scheme, and payment made by a person under children's deferred endowment assurance policy. So if we contributed or if we made any investment on the life insurance premium, so you can claim the deduction under section 80C. So let us see what is the deduction amount, that is the policy has been taken by the assessee before 1/4/2012. So we need to check whether the policy has been taken before 1/4/2012 or in the financial year 12 and 13 or after 1/4/2013. So they have clearly stated that if any insurance policy has been taken before 1/4/2012, then the 20% of amount assured, that is nothing but the policy amount, whatever we have taken from that policy amount, we need to take the 20% of the amount. Second, if the policy issued during 2012 and 13, that is in the financial year 12 and 13, then we need to take the 10% of sum assured, that is the total policy amount. Third one, if policy issued on or after 1/4/2013, then the 15% of sum assured has to be considered. So after checking that, or after taking the percentage of the sum assured, and it has to be compared with the actual premium paid. So whenever any assessee is contributing any premium or is paying any premium on the life, be careful, not for the general, for the life insurance, then we need to claim the deduction under section 80C. So the deduction amount is, if the policy issued before 1/4/2012, 20% of sum assured has to be taken. That is the policy amount. And if any insurance policy has taken during the financial year 12 and 13, 10% of the sum assured. And if any policy issued after 1/4/2013, then 15% of sum assured has to be taken, and it has to be compared with the actual premium paid. And after comparing both, we need to take the whichever is lesser value. So that less amount can be claimed as deduction under section 80C. Okay. This amount will be taken only when the policy amount has been given in the problem. If they're not given any policy amount, no need of calculation. Directly we are going to take the actual premium paid. Okay. Next, second one, contribution to any public provident fund governed by the Provident Fund Act of 1925. So any contribution which has been made by the assessee for the public provident fund governed by the Provident Fund Act of 1925. I think we have seen in the salary part deductions under provident fund, public provident fund, statutory provident fund, recognized provident fund, and unrecognized provident fund. So public provident fund, any contribution can be claimed as deduction under section 80C. Next, third one, contribution by an employee to statutory provident fund and recognized provident fund. So here they have clearly mentioned that any contribution which has been made by the employee, not the employer. So the assessee, if he is an employee under any company or in any company, and if he contribute to the statutory provident fund and recognized provident fund, and he can claim the exemption under section 80C. Next, fourth one, contribution by an employee to an approved superannuation fund. So superannuation fund is nothing but it is the amount which is contributed by the assessee for the expectation of the future returns. He is expecting that if we are contributing a small amount of portion or small amount of salary to the fund, and we can get the huge amount or the large amount in the future date. So that is called as approved superannuation fund. It is like a pension system. So if we contribute any amount to the approved superannuation fund or superannuation fund, we can claim the exemption under or deduction under section 80C. Next, subscription to any deposit scheme for or contribution to any pension fund set up by a national housing bank. So even any pension scheme or any pension fund which has been set up by the National Housing Bank, that is NHB, and if any assessee is contributing or any deposit amount has been deposited, then it can claim the exemption under section 80C. Next, sum deducted by the government from the salary of an employee for securing a deferred annuity for self, spouse, or children. The sum so deducted should not exceed 1/5 of the salary. And if in case any government has deducted the amount from the employee for the future purpose, called as for giving the pension or for giving the annuation amount or the capitalization amount either for the self, that is called as assessee, or his spouse or the children. Even that amount can be claimed as deduction only the sum so deducted should not exceed one-fifth of the salary, that is called as 20% of salary should be claimed as deduction. More than that, the amount cannot be claimed as deduction. Okay, so the sum so deducted should not exceed one-fifth of the salary, that is 20% of the salary. Next, seventh one, sum paid under the contract for deferred on life of the assessee or his or spouse or children. So even any amount paid for the contract for deferred on the life of this assessee or his or spouse or children, even that amount can be claimed as exemption or deduction under section 80C. Next, payment of tuition fees by an individual assessee at the time of admission to any university, college, school, or other educational institution within India for the purpose of full-time education of any two children. Means if any father is going to contribute or if he is paying any tuition fees to his children for the maximum of two children, either in the form of tuition fees for the university or college or school, that amount can be claimed as exemption only if he has having the receipt and the education should be done in the full time, not in the part time. And the education has to be done only within the India only. So then you can claim the exemption or deduction under section 80C. Next, subscription to deposit scheme of a public sector engaged in providing housing finance. So any amount which has been invested by the deposit or invested in the form of deposit scheme of the public sector who are engaged in the providing housing finance, even that amount can be or deposit can be claimed as exemption. Next, payment notified annuity plan of LIC, that is Jeevan Dhara, Jeevan Akshay, or any other insurer. So if any schemes or if any insurance has been taken by the SSC like Jeevan Dhara, Jeevan Akshay, or any other insurer which has been issued by the LIC, and that amount can also be claimed as exemption. Next, subscription to National Savings Certificate plus accrued interest on it. So any National Savings Certificate has been subscribed and any interest on such securities, that is called as National Saving Certificate, even that amount can also be claimed as deduction or the exemption. And important one, subscription to Sukanya Samruddhi account, even any amount deposited or invested on a Sukanya Samruddhi account, even that can be claimed as exemption under section 80C. And important, principal repayment of housing loan means any loan amount which has been paid or any loan amount which has been taken by the assessee, and if the loan amount has been repaid by the assessee for the purpose of residential house property, be careful, the repayment loan amount or the repayment principal amount has to be paid by the assessee only for the residential house property. Means you need to take the loan amount only for the construction or the purchase of residential house property. So such amount can also be claimed as deduction or the exemption. So if any assessee has taken the loan amount and that loan amount has been taken for the purchase or the construction of the or residential house property, then the repayment of the principal amount, that is the amount which has been repaid by the assessee to the bank loan, even that can be claimed as exemption or deduction, not the interest amount, only the principal amount. And that loan amount has to be taken only for the purchase or construction of the residential house property. Either it may be from the banks or it may be cooperative banks or the LIC, national housing banks, or any other public or private sectors or the cooperative society. So any institutions can contribute the amount, and that loan amount has to taken by the assessee for the purchase or the construction of residential property. And if you are repaying the principal amount, then we can claim the exemption in the section 80C. Next, Subscription to units of mutual funds notified under section 10 of 23D. So even any subscription has been taken under the or in units of unit trust mutual funds, so can be claimed as exemption under section 10 of 23, that can be claimed as exemption under section 80C. Next, some deposited in fixed deposit with tenure of 5 years. So even that can be claimed as exemption. So be careful, the tenure of 5 years should be there, not less than the 5 years. Next, some deposited in 5 years post office time deposit scheme. So any amount we are going to deposit for a period of 5 years in the post office time deposit scheme, then such amount can also be claimed as deduction under section 80C. Next, contribution to ULIP, that is unit linked insurance plan and deposited in national saving certificate, even that can also be claimed as exemption or deduction under section 80C. And next, notified bonds of NABARD, that is the Agricultural National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. So if you have taken any bonds by investing any amount, even in the NABARD, that is the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, even that can be claimed as deduction under section 80C. So after adding all the amount which has been given in the list, that total amount will be called as gross qualifying amount. So that gross qualifying amount has to be compared with the maximum amount of rupees 1,50,000, and after comparing the lesser value, that is whichever is less, will be claimed as deduction under section 80C. And there are certain note or the points we need to remember. So any contribution to unrecognized provident fund does not qualify for the deduction. So only the statutory provident fund and recognized provident fund and public provident fund can be claimed as deduction, but not the unrecognized provident fund. Second, life insurance premium paid on father, mother, brother, sister, uncle's life does not qualify for the deduction. So we have clearly seen that the life insurance premium has to be paid by the assessee for his own life and for his dependents, either it may be spouse or maybe children. Other than them, if they has paid any insurance premium for the father, mother, or the brother, sister, uncle's life, which not be qualified for the deduction under section 80C. Next, third one, investment or deposit in the scheme under section 80C can be made out of taxable income or otherwise. So already the point has been seen that if you are making any investment on the schemes, that investment has to be made only from the taxable income, not from the other income. Next, fourth point, amount due but not paid on or before 31st March of the relevant previous year shall not qualify for the deduction under section 80C. Means if you have invested any amount and if you are supposed to pay the any amount to the schemes or the investment, that amount has to be paid before 31st March. And if you are paying after 31st March, that amount cannot be claimed as deduction or it will not qualify for the deduction under section 80C. So this is about, and last one, date of encashment of check or draft shall be taken as the date of receipt. Means if you have received or if you are depositing any amount in the form of check or the draft, the encashment of check or the cash or the draft will be taken as date of receipt. Next, we will move on to section 80 CCC. So this section is applicable for the in respect of contribution to pension fund. So any contribution which has been made for the pension fund for the LIC, then such amount can be claimed as the exemption under section 80 CCC. So deduction in respect of payment of premium for annuity plan of LIC or any other insurer is provided. So this deduction is purely related to the payment of premium for the annuity plan. So that is for the future plan, not for the yearly plan. So LIC or any other insurer is provided, the payment must be made out of taxable income of the current years or current previous year or earlier years of the assessee. means the premium amount has to be paid only from the taxable income of the current previous year or the earlier years of the assessee. So the amount of deduction will be amount deposited, that is gross qualifying amount, premium paid, or maximum amount rupees 1,50,000, whichever is less will be the amount of deduction under section 80 CC. So the deduction under section 80 CC, they have clearly stated that that amount or the payment made in the form of premium for the annuity plan of LIC or any other insurance company can be claimed as deduction under section 80 PCC, and that premium amount has to be paid only from the taxable income of the current previous year or the earlier years of the assessee. So the amount of deduction will be amount deposited or gross qualifying amount or maximum amount of rupees 1,50,000. So whichever is less will be taken as exemption or the deduction amount. Next, we move on to section 80 CCD. Deduction in respect of contribution to pension scheme of central government. So this section, that is 80 CCD, will be claimed for the contribution to pension scheme of central government. So central government employee appointed after 1/1/2004, because before 1/1/2004 there is no any schemes. They're just paying the or they're just deducting the amount, and that amount will be paid in the form of pension to the assessee. But after the year called as 1/1/2004, they have introduced a new scheme called as pension scheme. So the central government employee appointed after 1/1/2004 or other employees and can claim deduction under section 80 CCD. So for the employees, that is called as government employees, after 1/1/2004 they need to appointed, and for the other employees can claim the deduction under section 80 CCD. So amount of deduction is employees contribution or 10% of salary. So be careful, employees contribution or 10% of salary, whichever is less. For that we need to add, that is plus, employer's contribution or 10% of employees salary, whichever is less. Means the deduction amount under section 80 CCD is, first we need to take the employee's contribution. What is the employee contribution to the pension scheme? That amount, or 10% of the salary. What is the salary the employee is getting? From that salary, we need to take the 10%. And whichever is less value, we need to take. And for that, we need to add the employer's contribution, that is the company contribution or the government contribution, or the 10% of the employee's salary, whichever is less. So we need to add both the amount employees contribution or 10% of salary, whichever is less, plus employer's contribution or 10% of employee salary, whichever is less. And after adding this both, we need to compare with the maximum limit of rupees 1,50,000. So the lesser value, that is the total of the employees and employees contribution, and the maximum of rupees 1,50,000, the lesser value will be claimed as deduction under section 80 CCD. And note, employers' contributions for national pension scheme shall not be considered for ceiling limit of rupees 1,50,000. Means any amount or any employer's contribution to, that is company's contribution to national pension scheme, that scheme is not eligible. The ceiling limit of rupees 1,50,000 is, there is no any maximum limit of 1,50,000. How much they are going to contribute, that amount can be claimed as deduction. Next, there are certain important points we need to understand for the deductions under section 80C2, 80C, 80CC, and 80CCD. So first point, the total deduction under section 80C plus 80CCC plus 80CCD cannot exceed rupees 1,50,000. So we have seen directly, or we have seen that individually. That is for ATC maximum of rupees 1,50,000, ATCCC maximum of rupees 1,50,000, and ATCCD maximum of rupees 1,50,000. Now we need to add the total amount, and that total amount should not exceed rupees 1,50,000. So be careful. Individually, we are calculating the deduction amount under section 80C, 80CCC, 80CCD, and the maximum amount for each individual section is rupees 1,50,000. And after calculating the each individual section or the amount, now we need to total up the three deductions, that is 80C, 80CCC, and 80CCD. Now the total amount should not exceed rupees 1,50,000. So for an example, under section 80C we have got the exemption amount of rupees 50,000, and under section 80CCC we have got the exemption amount of rupees 70,000, and under section 80CCD we have got the exemption amount of rupees 50,000. So the total deduction amount is 1,70,000. So the total deduction amount should not exceed rupees 1,50,000, means we have just reducing the amount to 1,50,000, not 1,70,000. So the limit of for maximum deduction available under section 80C, 80CCC, and 80CCD combined, that is total, is only rupees 1,50,000. An assessee gets an additional deduction of rupees 50,000 if he makes investment in NPS scheme notified, that is National Pension Scheme notified by the central government. This means the limit for maximum deduction available under section 80C, 80CCC, and 80CCD, and 80CCD1B, that is for contribution or the investment in the National Pension Scheme, is rupees 2 lakhs. So we are getting the extra deduction amount of rupees 50,000 if he has made any investment in the National Pension Scheme. So be careful whenever we have calculating any deduction under section 80C, 80CCC, 80CCD, then the total amount or the total of all the three sections should not exceed rupees 1,50,000. And if in case, if any assessee has claimed or if he has made any investment in the National Pension Scheme notified by the central government, and the additional amount of rupees 50,000 can be claimed as deduction. So in such a case, the ceiling limit will be rupees 2 lakh, not 1,50,000. Next, we'll move on to section 80D, so which deals with the medical insurance premium. So be careful, section 80D is going to deal with the deductions in respect of the medical insurance premium. So this section provides for a deduction of premium paid towards an health insurance policy for the assessee or his family, that is spouse and dependent children. So only any medical insurance premium which has been paid by the assessee for his own or for the spouse or for the dependent children. So in the section 80C, 80CCD, and 80CCC, we have seen the life insurance, but here they have clearly mentioned it is a medical insurance to get the treatment from the hospitals. So if any contribution which has been made by the assessee in respect of medical insurance premium, we can claim the exemption under section 80D only for his own life or for his own or for the spouse or for the dependent children. Now, deduction amount in case of family members, actual health insurance premium paid or maximum amount of rupees 25,000 if the assessee is senior citizen, rupees 50,000. So in case of family members, the actual health insurance amount, so whatever the amount we are going to pay in the form of premium for the medical insurance, and it has to be compared with the maximum amount of rupees 25,000. So up to maximum 25,000 you can claim the deduction. And if in case the family members or the assessee have clearly mentioned that the assessee is senior citizen, that is more than 6 years, then the maximum limit will be 50,000. And this amount can be claimed if the premium amount or the medical insurance premium has been taken for the family members, either for his own or the spouse or for the dependent children. And if in case, if he has taken any medical insurance premium for his family, sorry, in case of parents, either it may be father or the mother, So the deduction amount will be actual health insurance premium paid or the maximum of rupees 25,000. And if any of the parent is a senior citizen, either it may be mother or the father, so you can claim the exemption under section 80D up to rupees 50,000. So section 80D, they have clearly specified that any amount which has been contributed by the assessee for getting the medical insurance for the members or for his parents, he can claim the deduction. And that insurance amount has to be paid only from his income, not from the other source. And the deduction amount will be in the case of family members, either it may be for his own or for the spouse or for the dependent children. Then the deduction amount will be actual health insurance payment paid or the maximum of rupees 25,000, and whichever is less. And in case of the assessee is senior citizen, rupees 50,000 he can claim the deduction. And in case of parents, if you have taken any health insurance, actual health insurance premium or rupees or maximum of rupees 25,000. If in case the parents or any of the parent, it may be mother or father, any of the parent is senior citizen, that is more than 6 years, then we can claim the deduction up to rupees 50,000. And there is a chart which shows the clear information regarding the deduction under section 80D. So first one, nature of amount spent, family members and for the parents. So the family members has been segregated into two parts, age below 60 years and age 6 years or more, that is senior citizens. And even for the parents below 60 years and above 60 years. So first one, medical insurance. So if he is depositing or if he is getting any medical insurance premium, so for the family members below 60 years, 25,000 will be exemption amount, and above 60 years, 50,000 will be exemption amount. And in case of parents below 60 years, 25,000, above 60 years, 50,000, we can claim the exemption. And if we contribute to CGS or notified schemes, so amount will be 25,000 and 50,000 for only for family members, not for the parents. So if the family members is below 6 years, 25,000 will be exemption amount, and for the family members, if he is more than 6 years, that is senior citizen, the exemption amount will be 50,000. So in addition to this, if any health checkup has been done or has been incurred by the assessee, either for the family members or for the parents, then you can claim the exemption up to rupees 5,000. Either it may be senior citizen or not the senior citizen. And the medical expenditure which has been incurred by the assessee only eligible if they are the senior citizen. Okay, so if any medical expenditure which has been incurred by the assessee only for the senior citizen, either it may be for the family members or for the parents, up to rupees 50,000 we can claim the exemption. So this is the chart which represents the deductions under section 80D, and the total amount, that is the maximum amount, rupees 25,000, 50,000, 25,000 and 50,000, means the total amount, that is medical insurance premium and the contribution to CGSH or notified schemes 25,000 or health checkup should not exceed rupees 25,000. That is clearly mentioned. Means we can claim the expenditure, that is medical insurance premium or contribution or health checkup. The total amount should not increase up to 25,000. And in case of senior citizen, 50,000. And for parents also less than 60 years, 25,000, and more than 6 years, 50,000. So this is regarding the section 80D. And there are certain note or points we need to consider when we are claiming the deductions under section 80D. That is, further it is provided that for claiming such deductions under section 80D, the payment must be by any mode other than cash. If paid in cash, no deduction is eligible. So they have clearly mentioned that the medical insurance premium or the amount which we are going to claim under section 80D, that amount has to be paid only in the mode or any other mode not in the form of cash. If you are paying any amount in the form of cash, no deduction is eligible under section 80D. Means if I taken the insurance policy or the medical insurance policy, and if I taken and if I paid any health checkups, and if I paid any amount or the medical expenditure in the form of cash, such amount cannot be claimed as deduction. Only other modes has to be used. Further deduction of rupees 5,000 shall be allowed in respect of payment made on account of preventive health checkups of self, spouse, children, or parents made during the previous year. So we already seen that if any health checkup, that is preventive health checkup, has been done by the assessee for his own or for the spouse, children, or the parents during the previous year, up to 5,000 he can claim the exemption. Only for claiming preventive health checkups, deduction payment can be made, including cash. So only for the preventive health checkups, you can claim the deduction if he also made the amount in the form of or the mode even in the form of cash. So condition, that is note 1, the deduction amount should be made only in the other forms rather than the cash. And if the mode of payment is in the form of cash, the deduction is not eligible. And the assessee can claim the deduction, additional deduction of rupees 5,000 if he has done or if he has paid in respect of taking the health checkup for himself or the spouse or the children or the parents during the previous year. And they have given the exemption only for the preventive health checkup, that 5,000 can be paid in the form of cash. Next, section 80DD. So this section deals with the deduction in respect of the rehabilitation of handicapped dependent relatives. Means any medical expenditure which has been incurred by the assessee for his family members who has handicap, who is dependent on the assessee. So this section provides deduction for the expenditure incurred for medical treatment of handicapped dependent or deposit made for the maintenance of the dependent handicapped. So be careful. Section 80DD is clearly stated that any amount which has been incurred by the assessee in the form of expenditure or deposit which has been invested on the or which has been maintained or which has been made for the handicapped who is dependent on the assessee. So let us see the deduction amount. So whenever we are calculating the deduction amount under section 80DD, we need to check the extent of disability. Means the disability is nothing but the government or the doctor will certify that the person is disability based on the percentages. So if the assessee want to claim the deduction under section 80DD, then they need to get the certificate from the government doctor stating that the percentage of disability. Means if the percentage is less than 40%, no amount will be deducted. So they have in the certificate they will clearly mention what is the percentage of disability. And if that percentage is less than or equal to 40%, nil or no amount will be claimed as deduction. If the percentage is more than 40% or less than 80%, then the amount of deduction is 75,000. And if the disability is more than 80%, then the amount of deduction is rupees 1,25,000. So that disability has to be certified only from the government doctor. Then only they can claim the deduction. And if they get the any certificate from the private doctors, no deductions will be available or claimed. So section 80DD clearly states that any expenditure made by the assessee for the rehabilitation of the handicapped or any deposit which has been made on the assessee for the maintenance of dependent handicapped, we can claim the exemption on deduction. So deduction amount, if the disability is less than 40% or equal to 40%, deduction amount is nil. If the disability is more than 40% and less than 80%, amount of deduction is 75,000. And if the disability is more than 80%, then the amount of deduction is 1,25,000. Next, section 80DDB. So this section deals with the deduction in respect of medical treatment. So this section provides deduction for the expenses incurred for the medical treatment against a specified disease for the assessee or his dependent. So section 80D, medical insurance premium. Section 80DD, medical expenditure which has been incurred on the dependent who is an handicap. And now the section 80DDB can be claimed if any medical expenditure which has been incurred for the treatment of a specified as diseases for the assessee or is dependent. And the deduction amount will be, that is, in case of assessee less than the age of 80 years, that is, he is not a senior citizen, then the amount will be actual expenditure or maximum amount of rupees 40,000. He can claim the exemption, that is, whichever is lesser value. In case of resident senior citizens, actual expenditure or maximum amount of rupees 1 lakh, he can claim the expenditure. So, and the important thing that diseases or the specific diseases has to be given, or it has to be notified by the government doctors only. It means it has to be certified by the government doctors only. Then only you can claim the exemption. So specified diseases which will be given in the list, and if that diseases has been certified by the government doctors, and he can claim the deduction under section 80 BDB if he has made any medical treatment expenditure. So deduction amount in case of assessing less than age of 60 years, actual expenditure amount or maximum of rupees 40,000, whichever is less. And in case of resident senior citizen more than 60 years, actual expenditure or maximum amount of rupees 1 lakh, whichever is less. So note, this disease should be certified by the government doctors. If a senior citizen is non-resident, then the maximum limit is rupees 40,000. Means who is not a resident of India. If he is a NRI, that is who is coming from any other country, then the maximum limit is rupees 40,000 only, even if he is a senior citizen. But if he is not a senior citizen, again the maximum limit is 40,000. If he is a resident of India, then if he is a senior citizen, the maximum amount is rupees 1 lakh. Next, section 80E. So this deduction can be claimed by the assessee for the payment of interest on loan for taken for the higher education. Means if any assessee has taken any loan amount for the purpose of higher education, and if he is paying any interest on such loan, then he can claim the exemption under section 80E. So if an assessee has taken any loan for higher studies after completing senior secondary exam, that is second PUC or the PU exams, tax deductions can be claimed under section 80E for interest, not the principal amount, for the interest that you paid towards your educational loan. Second one, this loan should have been taken for the higher education for you, your spouse, or your children, or for a student for whom you are a legal guardian, not for the others. It should be taken only for the assessee, or for his spouse, or for his children, or for his any minor if he is acting as a guardian or the legal guardian. So he can claim the deduction. Principal repayment on education loan cannot be claimed as deduction. So already we have known that only the interest on loan which has been taken for the education, that amount can be claimed as deduction, not the principal amount repayment. There is no limit on the amount of interest you can claim as a deduction under section 80E. This deduction is available for a maximum of 8 years or till the interest is paid, whichever is earlier. So no maximum amount is given, but you can claim the deduction up to maximum of 8 years or till the interest is paid. Means for example, if you are paying the interest amount for 6 months or for 6 years, so up to 6 years you can claim the exemption. Or else if it is more than 10 years, up to 8 years only you can claim the exemptions or deductions under section 80E. Deduction total interest on loan paid. Next, we move on to section 80EE, that is deduction in respect of interest on loan taken for residential house property. So be careful, Section 80E deals with the interest on loan which has been taken for the education purpose, but 80E is claiming the deduction where we can claim the deduction under Section 80E for the interest on loan taken for the residential house property, not the commercial house property. Be careful. The loan amount has to be taken only for the purchase or construction of residential house property, not the commercial house property. So, if an assessee has taken loan on purchase or construction of residential house property, then the interest paid on that loan is eligible for deduction, not the principal amount. Only the interest amount can be claimed as deduction. So eligibility, there are certain conditions has to be satisfied by the assessee if we want to claim the deduction under section 80EE. That is, the loan amount should be sanctioned during the financial year 2016 and 17, and loan amount should be less than rupees 35 lakh. Means if you are taking any loan amount for the purchase or construction of residential house property, that loan amount should be less than 35 lakh, then only you are eligible to claim the deduction under section 80EE. The value of house should not be more than rupees 50 lakhs. The loan amount should be less than 35 lakhs, but the value of house property should not be more than 50 lakhs. The home buyer should not have any other existing residential house in his name. Means when he is taking any loan amount, he need to be clear that any house property should not be in his name. Then only he can claim the deduction under section 80EE. So the condition that the loan amount should be sanctioned during the financial year 16 and 17. Second, loan amount should be less than rupees 35 lakh, and the property value should not be more than the 50 lakh, and the assessee should not hold any house property when he's taking the loan amount. So if all these conditions has been satisfied, then he can claim the deduction under section 80EE, and the deduction amount is actual interest paid or maximum limit of rupees 50,000, whichever is lesser. So be careful. 80EE deals with the interest on loan which has been taken for the construction or purchase of residential house property, and the loan amount should be less than 35 lakhs, and the value of house property should not be more than 50 lakh, and the assessee should not hold any house property at the time of taking the loan amount, and that loan amount has to be sanctioned during the financial year 16 and 17. And the loan or the deduction amount is actual interest paid or maximum limit of rupees 50,000, whichever is lesser. So this is about the section 80EE.